The breaking point. The perfect illusion. The morning sun filtered through the floor-to-ceiling windows of Sterling and Hayes architecture, casting long shadows across my drafting table. I stared at the blueprint in front of me, my fifth cup of coffee growing cold beside my trembling hands. 3 months of work. 3 months of sleepless nights, countless revisions, and pure creative passion poured into this design. The Riverside Cultural Center project was my masterpiece. My name is Emma Chun, and I'm a senior architect at one of New York's most prestigious firms. Or at least, I thought I was. What I didn't know that sunny Tuesday morning was that my entire world was about to shatter like glass. Emma, darling, you're here early again. Marcus Sterling's voice made me jump. I turned to see my fiancé leaning against the doorframe, his perfectly tailored suit and charming smile firmly in place. Marcus was the golden boy of Sterling and Hayes, the senior partner's son, and the man I'd loved for 3 years. Just finishing the final touches on the Riverside presentation, I said, smiling despite my exhaustion. The board meeting is tomorrow. I want everything perfect. Marcus walked over and kissed my forehead. That's my girl. Always so dedicated. He glanced at the blueprints, his eyes scanning my work with an expression I couldn't quite read. It's brilliant, Emma. Truly revolutionary. Pride swelled in my chest. Marcus rarely gave compliments about work. You really think so? Absolutely. This design will change everything for the firm. He squeezed my shoulder. Get some rest tonight. You've earned it. I watched him leave, feeling grateful for his support. How foolish I was. The betrayal revealed. The next afternoon, I walked into the boardroom with my presentation folder, ready to pitch my design to the executive committee. But when I opened the door, I froze. Marcus stood at the head of the table, my blueprints projected on the large screen behind him. My designs. My vision. My 3 months of blood, sweat, and tears. As you can see, gentlemen, Marcus was saying smoothly. The flowing curves of the exterior represent the river itself, while the interior spaces create a dialogue between nature and urban architecture. Those were my words. My exact words from the notes I'd shared with him last week. Marcus. My voice came out as a whisper, but everyone turned to look at me. Ah, Emma. Perfect timing. Marcus smiled without a hint of shame. I was just presenting our Riverside design to the board. Our design. I stepped forward, my heart pounding. That's my project. Those are my blueprints. An uncomfortable silence filled the room. The board members exchanged glances. Marcus's father, Richard Sterling, cleared his throat. Miss Chun, Marcus has been leading the Riverside project for the past 6 months. While we appreciate your contributions as part of his team, the primary design credit belongs to him. I felt like I'd been punched in the stomach. His team? I designed every single element of this building. I worked alone on this for 3 months. Emma, please. Marcus's voice was gentle, patronizing. Don't make this awkward. You did excellent work under my supervision, and you'll certainly be mentioned in the credits. Under your supervision? I couldn't believe what I was hearing. You barely looked at this project until yesterday. Richard Sterling stood up, his face stern. Miss Chun, I think you need to step outside and collect yourself. This emotional outburst is highly unprofessional. The crushing weight of truth. I stumbled out of the boardroom, my hands shaking with rage and disbelief. How could Marcus do this? How could the man I loved, the man I was supposed to marry in 6 months, steal my work and claim it as his own? I went straight to my desk and started searching through my files. That's when I found them. Email after email, backdated design drafts with Marcus's name on them, documentation showing him as the lead architect from day one. He hadn't just stolen my current project. He'd been systematically taking credit for my work for over a year. The Harper Building, the Greenfield Commons, the waterfront renovation, projects I'd designed, concepts I'd created, all officially credited to Marcus Sterling. I sat there, staring at my computer screen, feeling my entire reality crumble around me. Every late night, I'd worked while Marcus went out with clients. Every weekend I'd spent perfecting designs while he played golf. Every time he'd praised my support and called me his invaluable assistant. I'd been building his career while he destroyed mine. The Gala of Humiliation. That evening was the annual Sterling and Hayes Charity Gala, a black-tie event where the firm showed off its latest projects and schmoozed with potential clients. I almost didn't go, but something inside me refused to hide, refused to let Marcus see me broken. I wore the emerald green dress I'd bought for the occasion, put on my brightest smile, and walked into that ballroom with my head held high. The moment I entered, I felt the stares. People whispering behind their champagne glasses. Pitying looks from colleagues who'd witnessed my humiliation. Marcus stood near the bar with his father and several board members. When he saw me, he had the audacity to wave me over. "Emma, there you are." He put his arm around my waist, pulling me close. To everyone else, we looked like the perfect couple. Only I could feel the warning pressure of his fingers. "I was just telling everyone about the Riverside project." "You mean my project?" I said quietly, just loud enough for him to hear. His smile never wavered, but his grip tightened. "Darling, we talked about this. Let's not make a scene." "Why not?" I pulled away from him. "You made quite a scene today, taking credit for 3 months of my work." Richard Sterling frowned. "Emma, I thought we settled this matter." "Settled?" I laughed, a bitter sound that made people nearby turn to look. "You settled it by lying. By letting your son steal my designs and claim them as his own. That's enough." Marcus's charming mask slipped for just a second, revealing something cold underneath. "You're embarrassing yourself." "I'm embarrassing myself?" My voice rose. "You're a thief, Marcus. A fraud. Everything you've built in the last year came from my work, and everyone in this room should know it." The conversations around us stopped. The ballroom went quiet. All eyes turned toward us. "I think you've had too much to drink," Marcus said smoothly, trying to laugh it off. "Emma has been under a lot of stress lately. Wedding planning, you know how it is." "Don't you dare." I yanked the engagement ring off my finger and dropped it into his champagne glass. "I'm not marrying you. I'm not working for you. And I'm not staying silent while you steal everything I've built." I turned to walk away, but Marcus grabbed my arm. "You walk out that door, you'll never work in this city again. I'll make sure of it." I looked at his hand on my arm, then into his eyes. "Let go of me. You need me, Emma. Without Sterling and Hayes, you're nothing. Without me, you're nothing." I wrenched my arm free. "Then I guess I'll have to build myself back from nothing. At least it will be mine." I walked out of that gala with nothing but my dignity and my anger. Behind me, I heard Marcus already spinning the story, telling everyone I'd had a breakdown, that the stress had gotten to me, that he'd tried so hard to help his poor, unstable fiancée. The unexpected alliance. I was sitting on a bench outside the venue, my head in my hands, when a voice interrupted my thoughts. That was quite a performance in there. I looked up to see a man I didn't recognize. He was tall, maybe in his mid-30s, with dark hair and sharp gray eyes. He wore an expensive suit, but carried himself with a casual confidence that suggested he didn't need it to command respect. "If you're here to tell me I just ruined my career, save it. I already know." He sat down next to me, uninvited. "Actually, I was going to say it was about time someone called out Marcus Sterling for the fraud he is." I turned to look at him properly. "Who are you?" "Ryan Cole. I'm an investor, and I've been watching Sterling and Hayes for a while now." He handed me a business card. "I've also been watching you." "That's not creepy at all," I muttered, but I took the card anyway. "I know Marcus has been taking credit for your work," Ryan continued. "I've seen your actual design portfolio. The preliminary sketches you submitted for the waterfront project before Marcus refined them. The original Harper building concept that was pure genius before he watered it down." My heart skipped a beat. "How do you have access to that?" "I make it my business to know where real talent is." He turned to face me fully. "Emma Chen, you're brilliant. Your designs are innovative, sustainable, and beautiful. You don't need Sterling and Hayes. They need you." "Needed," I corrected bitterly. Past tense. "Marcus will blacklist me. His father has connections everywhere." "Let him try." Ryan's smile was sharp. "I have better connections, more money, and absolutely no respect for entitled trust fund babies who build their reputations on stolen work." I studied him carefully. "Why are you telling me this? What do you want?" "I want to invest in you. Start your own firm. Take your real portfolio, the one Marcus hasn't gotten his hands on yet, and show the world what you can really do." He stood up, adjusting his cufflinks. "I'm offering you complete financial backing, total creative control, and a chance to make Marcus Sterling regret the day he ever underestimated you." "Just like that? You're willing to invest in someone who just quit her job and made a scene at a charity gala?" "I'm not investing in someone who quit," Ryan said. "I'm investing in someone who refused to be silenced. There's a difference." He started to walk away, then paused. Think about it, Emma. You can either let Marcus destroy you, or you can destroy the empire you built for him and create your own. Your choice. The decision. I sat on that bench for another hour after Ryan left, his business card clutched in my hand. Part of me wanted to crawl into bed and never come out. Marcus was right about one thing. He had the power to end my career in New York. His family's connections ran deep. But another part of me, the part that had stayed up countless nights perfecting my designs, the part that had poured my soul into creating beautiful spaces, that part was burning with rage. I pulled out my phone and looked at my portfolio. The real one, stored in my personal cloud, full of designs Marcus had never seen. Concepts I'd worked on in my spare time, dreams I'd kept to myself, visions that were purely mine. I thought about the Riverside Cultural Center, my masterpiece, that would now have Marcus Sterling's name on it. I thought about every late night, every sacrifice, every moment of my creativity that he'd stolen. Then I thought about what Ryan had said. I didn't need Sterling and Hayes. They needed me. I dialed the number on Ryan's card. He answered on the first ring. I was hoping you'd call, he said. I have conditions, I told him. I want complete creative control. My name on everything. And I want to start by going after every single client Marcus thinks he's secured. I could hear the smile in his voice. I wouldn't have it any other way. Then let's burn his empire to the ground, I said. After all, I'm the one who built it. The first move. The next morning, I walked into my apartment to find 3 dozen white roses from Marcus with a note. Let's talk this through rationally. You're upset, but we can fix this. Come back. I forgive you. He forgave me. I threw the entire bouquet in the trash and called my lawyer. If Marcus wanted a war, he was going to get one. By noon, I'd filed formal complaints with the American Institute of Architects, documenting every project Marcus had stolen. I'd pulled all my personal files from Sterling and Hayes servers, and I'd signed a partnership agreement with Ryan Cole. By evening, Chun and Associates Architecture had a registered business license, a small but elegant office space in Soho, and a website showcasing my real portfolio. Marcus called 17 times. I didn't answer. His father sent a legal letter threatening a lawsuit for breach of contract. My lawyer sent one back detailing intellectual property theft. But the real message I wanted to send required something more dramatic. I'd learned that Marcus was pitching for the Silverstone Tower project, a 50-story mixed-use building that would be the firm's biggest contract in 5 years. The selection committee was meeting in 2 weeks. I had 2 weeks to create a design so stunning, so innovative, that it would make Marcus's proposal look like a child's drawing. I didn't need sleep. I didn't need food. I needed revenge. The war begins. Ryan set up meetings with 3 of Sterling and Hayes' biggest current clients, and I prepared presentations showing them the original versions of their projects, the ones I designed before Marcus had refined them. Their reactions ranged from shocked to furious. 2 of them fired Sterling and Hayes on the spot and hired me instead. I knew the moment Marcus found out because my phone exploded with messages. Threats. Accusations. Desperate pleas. I blocked his number and kept working. Late one night, as I perfected my Silverstone Tower design, Ryan brought me coffee and Chinese takeout. You're going to make yourself sick, he said, setting the food on my drafting table. I'm fine. You're running on fumes and rage. It's not sustainable. I looked up at him. Why are you really doing this? Nobody invests this much money in revenge without a reason. Ryan was quiet for a moment. Then he sat down across from me. 5 years ago, Marcus Sterling stole a design from my younger sister. She was a junior architect at his firm, fresh out of school. When she tried to prove it, he destroyed her career and her reputation. She quit architecture entirely. Now she teaches art to elementary school kids. My chest tightened. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. Just win. He pushed the food toward me. Eat. Then finish this design. Show them what real talent looks like. As I ate, I studied my work. The Silverstone Tower design was good. Maybe the best thing I'd ever created. But it needed to be more than good. It needed to be unforgettable. I picked up my pencil and started adding the final touches. The sun was rising when I finally finished. I sat back and looked at what I'd created. It was perfect. It was revolutionary. And it was going to destroy Marcus Sterling's career the same way he'd tried to destroy mine. The war had begun, and I wasn't going to stop until I'd won. The reconstruction. The presentation that changed everything. The morning of the Silverstone Tower presentation arrived like Judgment Day. I stood in front of my mirror, adjusting my navy blue power suit. My hands were steady now, fueled by purpose rather than anger. The scared woman who'd fled the gala 3 weeks ago was gone. In her place stood someone new, someone stronger. Ryan picked me up at 7. His Tesla hummed quietly as we drove through Manhattan's morning traffic toward the Silverstone Corporation headquarters. Nervous? He asked. Terrified, I admitted. Marcus will be there. His father. Every major player in New York architecture. Good. Fear keeps you sharp. He glanced at me. But Emma, remember something. You're not walking in there as Marcus Sterling's ex-fiancée. You're walking in there as the architect who designed half of his award-winning portfolio. Own it. The Silverstone building boardroom was massive, with windows overlooking Central Park. When Ryan and I entered, I felt the temperature drop. Marcus was already there, standing with his father and 3 other Sterling and Hayes partners. His eyes widened when he saw me, then narrowed with something that looked like rage mixed with fear. What is she doing here? Marcus demanded, looking at the selection committee chairman. Ms. Chun submitted a proposal, Chairman Wei said calmly. Chun and Associates is one of 5 firms presenting today. She has every right to be here. Marcus's face turned red. This is absurd. She worked for us until 3 weeks ago. Anything she presents is based on proprietary Sterling and Hayes methodology. Actually, I said, stepping forward with confidence I didn't entirely feel. Everything I'm presenting today was created after I left your firm. And unlike some people, I can prove every design element is original. I looked directly at Marcus. I keep excellent records. Richard Sterling stood up. This is highly inappropriate. I demand she be removed from consideration. On what grounds? Ryan spoke for the first time, his voice cutting through the tension like a blade. That she's too talented? That she might embarrass your son? Or that you're afraid the committee will realize Marcus's success was built on stolen work? The room went silent. Chairman Wei cleared his throat. Gentlemen, please take your seats. We'll hear all presentations and make our decision based on merit alone. Mr. Sterling, if your firm's work is as strong as you claim, you have nothing to worry about. Marcus sat down, but his glare could have melted steel. Watching him crumble. Sterling and Hayes presented first. Marcus stood at the podium, clicking through his slides with practiced confidence. His design for Silverstone Tower was competent. Safe. Boring. It was exactly what I'd expected, a recycled version of concepts he'd stolen from others, dressed up with expensive renderings. As you can see, Marcus was saying, our design maximizes commercial space while maintaining structural integrity. The glass facade reflects our commitment to modern aesthetics. I almost yawned. There was no innovation, no soul. Just another generic luxury tower that would blend into the skyline and be forgotten in 5 years. When my turn came, I walked to the front with my presentation tablet. I didn't need fancy slides. I had something better. I had vision. Chairman Wei, committee members, thank you for this opportunity. I connected my tablet to the projector. What I'm about to show you isn't just a building. It's a conversation between earth and sky, between commerce and community, between what is and what could be. My design filled the screen. The Silverstone Tower in my vision wasn't just tall, it was alive. The exterior featured a living wall system, vertical gardens that would change with the seasons. The structure itself incorporated sustainable materials and renewable energy systems. But the real genius was in the interior flow, the way each space connected to create not just offices and apartments, but a genuine community. Traditional towers isolate people in boxes, I explained. My design creates connection. The ground floor is open to the public, a park, a gallery, a gathering space. As you rise, the building breathes. Natural light floods every level. Rainwater is collected and recycled. The rooftop isn't just a penthouse, it's a garden accessible to all residents, a green space in the sky. I could see the committee members leaning forward, engaged. But more satisfying was watching Marcus's expression change from smugness to disbelief to barely contained panic. The projected energy costs are 40% lower than traditional buildings of this size, I continued. The environmental impact is minimal. And the social impact? Silverstone Tower won't just be another office building. It will be a landmark that brings people together. When I finished, the room erupted in questions. Good questions. Excited questions. Chairman Wei was smiling. Marcus tried to interject, claiming my design was impractical, too expensive, impossible to build. But Ryan was ready with cost analyses, engineering reports, and letters from contractors eager to work on the project. By the time we left that boardroom, I knew I'd won. The sweet taste of victory. The call came 2 days later. Chun and Associates had been selected to design Silverstone Tower. The contract was worth $15 million, the biggest project of my career and the death blow to Sterling and Hayes' quarterly projections. Ryan took me to celebrate at a rooftop restaurant in Brooklyn. The Manhattan skyline glittered before us, and somewhere in that forest of lights was the space where my tower would soon rise. To Emma Chun, Ryan raised his glass. The architect who rebuilt herself from nothing and took down an empire in the process. I clinked my glass against his. We're not done yet. Marcus still has clients. He still has his father's reputation protecting him. About that, Ryan's expression turned serious. I've been investigating Sterling and Hayes' finances. There are some interesting irregularities. What kind of irregularities? The kind that suggests someone has been embezzling money. A lot of money. I set down my glass. Marcus, that's what I thought at first. But the trail leads somewhere else. He pulled out his phone and showed me a document. Someone named Vanessa Clark has been systematically siphoning funds from client accounts for the past 8 months. The name hit me like cold water. Vanessa Clark? Marcus's new girlfriend. He has a new girlfriend already? Ryan raised an eyebrow. Showed up at Sterling and Hayes 2 weeks after I left. Marcus has been parading her around the office, making sure everyone knows he's moved on. I studied the document more carefully. How much has she stolen? Close to $3 million. She's clever about it, taking small amounts from multiple accounts, hiding it in the chaos of active projects. But she got greedy. The amounts have been getting larger. A plan started forming in my mind. Does Marcus know? I don't think so. The accounting department probably hasn't caught it yet. But they will, eventually. I smiled slowly. What if we helped them catch it sooner? Ryan grinned. I was hoping you'd say that. The woman in red. The next evening, I did something I never thought I'd do. I went back to Sterling and Hayes. Not to beg for my job back, but to attend their monthly networking mixer. It was open to industry professionals, and technically, I was one now. I wore a red dress. Not the emerald green one from the gala where Marcus humiliated me, but something new. Something that said I was no longer the woman he'd broken. The moment I walked in, conversations stopped. People stared. Some looked sympathetic. Others looked impressed. Marcus looked like he'd seen a ghost. But the person I was looking for was Vanessa Clark. I spotted her near the bar, laughing too loud at something Richard Sterling was saying. She was beautiful in an obvious way, blonde, perfectly styled, wearing designer clothes that probably cost more than most people's monthly rent. She was also wearing my grandmother's pearl necklace, the one I'd left behind when I fled Marcus's apartment. Seeing those pearls around her neck made my blood boil, but I kept my smile in place. Vanessa Clark? I approached her with an extended hand. I'm Emma Chun. I don't think we've officially met. She looked startled, then recovered with a sugary smile. Oh, Marcus's ex. I've heard so much about you. I'm sure you have. I kept my voice pleasant. Congratulations on your relationship. Marcus is quite a catch. Was that sarcasm? She couldn't quite tell. Thank you. We're very happy. I'm sure. Though I have to warn you, working at the same firm where you're dating the boss can get complicated. Trust me, I know from experience. Vanessa's smile faltered slightly. Actually, I'm not just his girlfriend. I'm also the new junior partner. Marcus says I have a real gift for understanding the business side of architecture. The business side? How interesting. I leaned in conspiratorially. Between you and me, keep a close eye on the accounting. Sterling and Hayes has been having some cash flow issues lately. Her expression flickered, just for a second, but I caught it. Fear. Cash flow issues? She repeated carefully. Oh, you didn't know? I probably shouldn't say anything. I glanced around as if checking who might overhear. But since you're a partner now, you should know. There's going to be an audit. Routine stuff. But they're checking all the accounts going back a year. Making sure everything adds up perfectly. I could see her mind racing behind those carefully made-up eyes. When? She asked, too quickly. Next week, I think. Maybe sooner. Richard wants to make sure everything is clean after all the negative press from my lawsuit. I smiled sweetly. Anyway, lovely chatting with you. I hope the audit goes smoothly. I walked away, leaving her pale and shaking by the bar, watching the dominoes fall. Ryan was waiting in his car outside. How did it go? She's panicking. Give her 24 hours, and she'll either run or try to cover her tracks. Either way, she'll make a mistake. You're terrifying, Ryan said, but he was smiling. Remind me never to get on your bad side. Too late. You're stuck with me now. We drove to a coffee shop and waited. Sure enough, my phone buzzed 2 hours later with a text from a former colleague still working at Sterling and Hayes. Emma, something crazy is happening. Vanessa just had a screaming match with Marcus in his office. She's packing up her desk and threatening to go to the press about everything. Security is involved. What did you do? I showed Ryan the message. He laughed. She's running. Not for long. I made a call to my lawyer, who made a call to Sterling and Hayes accounting department, who suddenly became very interested in reviewing their financial records immediately. By midnight, the police had been called. By morning, Vanessa Clark was in custody for embezzlement, and Sterling and Hayes was facing a scandal that made my lawsuit look like a minor inconvenience. The unexpected confession. 3 days after Vanessa's arrest, Marcus showed up at my office. He looked terrible, unshaven, exhausted, his expensive suit rumpled. Emma, we need to talk. I looked up from my drafting table. Do we? I can't imagine what we have to say to each other. Please. He actually said please. Just 5 minutes. I nodded to Ryan, who was working across the room. I'll be fine. Ryan left, but not before giving Marcus a look that promised violence if he tried anything. Marcus sat down heavily. Vanessa stole $3 million. My father is furious. The board is calling for my resignation. Our biggest clients are leaving. He looked at me with bloodshot eyes. Did you know? Did you know she was stealing? I found out recently, I admitted. But I didn't tell her to steal. That was all her choice. But you told her about the audit. There wasn't any audit scheduled, was there? No. I lied. And she panicked because guilty people do that. I set down my pencil. Why are you here, Marcus? Because I need to know if you're behind all of this. Vanessa, the client's leaving, the Silverstone contract. Is this all revenge? I stood up and walked to the window. You want to know if I'm orchestrating your downfall? Let me ask you something first. When you stole my designs, when you took credit for my work, when you humiliated me at that gala, did you think about consequences? Did you think about how it would destroy me? I thought you'd get over it, he said quietly. I thought you'd realize that my name had more weight in the industry, that by attaching your work to my reputation, I was actually helping you. I turned to face him. You really believe that, don't you? You actually think you were doing me a favor. Wasn't I? Emma, before me, you were nobody. I gave you opportunities, connections, a place in this world. And there it was. The truth he'd always believed. That I was nothing without him. Get out, I said softly. Emma, get out of my office, Marcus. And don't come back. He stood up, started to say something else, then stopped. As he reached the door, he turned back. For what it's worth, that Silverstone design. It's the best thing I've ever seen. It should have been mine. But it wasn't, I said. It was mine. It always was. The confrontation with Richard Sterling. The day after Marcus's visit, I received an unexpected call from Richard Sterling himself. He wanted to meet. Alone. We met at an upscale restaurant in Midtown. Richard sat across from me, looking every bit the patriarch of New York architecture. But there were cracks in the facade now, stress lines around his eyes, gray stubble he hadn't bothered to shave. Miss Chun, thank you for meeting me. Mr. Sterling, I admit, I'm curious why you wanted to see me. He ordered scotch. I ordered water. When the waiter left, Richard looked at me directly. I'm here to make you an offer. Come back to Sterling and Hayes. Full partner. Your name on the door. Complete creative control. And a formal, public apology from Marcus for what he did. I almost laughed. You're joking. I'm completely serious. You're talented, Emma. Brilliant, even. The firm needs you. More than that, the firm needs your reputation right now. With Vanessa's arrest and the clients leaving, we need to show the industry that Sterling and Hayes still has integrity. And what better way than to bring back the woman your son wronged? Exactly. I sipped my water, considering. What does Marcus think of this offer? Marcus doesn't have a choice. The board is demanding major changes, or they'll force him out entirely. This is about survival. And you think I'd help you survive? After everything. Richard leaned forward. I think you're a businesswoman. And I'm offering you something valuable: legitimacy, resources, and a chance to rebuild Sterling and Hayes in your own image. Think about it. You could transform the entire firm. It was tempting. For a moment, I actually considered it. Sterling and Hayes had the prestige, the connections, the infrastructure I was still building at Shun and Associates. But then I remembered the boardroom where Richard had called me unprofessional, the gala where Marcus had called me nothing, the countless times my work had been erased and rewritten with someone else's name. "No," I said simply. Richard blinked. "No? Miss Chun, do you understand what I'm offering?" "I understand perfectly. You're offering me a chance to save your sinking ship. But here's what you don't understand, Mr. Sterling. I don't want to rebuild your firm. I want to replace it." I stood up, leaving my untouched water on the table. Chun and Associates isn't going to be another Sterling and Hayes. It's going to be better. And every client you lose, every talented architect who leaves your firm because they're tired of being treated like disposable tools, they're going to come to me. "You're making a mistake," Richard said, his voice hard now. "You think you can compete with a century-old firm? You're nobody, Miss Chun. A flash in the pan." I smiled. "I've been called that before. By your son, actually, right before I took his biggest contract. How did that work out for him?" I left Richard Sterling sitting alone in that expensive restaurant, probably realizing for the first time that his empire was truly crumbling. Ryan's secret. That evening, Ryan and I worked late at the office, going over proposals for 3 new clients who'd left Sterling and Hayes. Around midnight, I leaned back in my chair, exhausted but satisfied. "Ryan, can I ask you something?" "Always." "Your sister, the one Marcus hurt. What was her name?" He was quiet for a long moment. "Sarah. Sarah Cole. Is she really teaching elementary school art?" "Yes. She loves it, actually. Says kids are more honest than architects." He set down his pen. "But she could have been great, Emma. She had talent, vision, all of it. Marcus destroyed that." "I'm sorry. Don't be. You're giving me the revenge I never could." He looked at me intently. "But Emma, I need you to know something. This started as revenge, but it's become something else. For me, at least." My heart started beating faster. "What do you mean?" "I mean, I've watched you rebuild yourself from nothing. I've seen your strength, your brilliance, your refusal to stay down. And somewhere along the way, I stopped seeing you as just a business partner or a means to get back at Marcus." He stood up and walked around the desk to where I sat. "I'm falling for you, Emma Chun. Maybe I already have. And I know the timing is terrible, and you're still healing from Marcus's betrayal. But I can't keep pretending this is just business anymore." I stood up too, my mind racing. Ryan had been there for everything. The devastation, the rebuilding, the victories. He'd never asked for anything except to see me succeed. Ryan, I didn't know what to say. My heart was pounding, and I realized with sudden clarity that what I felt for him was nothing like what I'd felt for Marcus. This was deeper, truer. "You don't have to say anything right now," he said quickly. "I just needed you to know. Whatever you decide, I'm still your partner, still your friend, still in your corner." I looked into his gray eyes and made a decision. "Ryan Cole, if you're going to confess your feelings, you should know I'm a very direct person. I don't like ambiguity." He smiled. "I've noticed. So let me be clear. I'm falling for you too. Maybe I have been since that night you found me on the bench outside the gala. But I need time. I need to finish what I started with Marcus and Sterling and Hayes. I need to prove to myself that I'm whole on my own." "I can wait," he said softly. "I've waited this long. But when this is over," I continued, "when I've built Chun and Associates into everything I know it can be, when I've proven that Emma Chun is a name that matters, ask me again. It's a deal." We stood there in the quiet office, the city lights twinkling outside, and I felt something shift inside me. For the first time since the gala, I wasn't just angry or determined. I was hopeful. The final domino. A week later, the last piece fell into place. The Architecture Review Board completed their investigation into my complaint against Marcus. Their findings were damning. 7 different projects where Marcus had taken credit for work that wasn't his. Not just mine, other junior architects, outside consultants, even some of his own team members. The board revoked 2 of his major awards and placed him on professional probation. More devastating, they published their findings publicly. The morning the report dropped, my phone exploded with messages. Former colleagues thanking me for speaking up. Clients asking for meetings. job applications from talented architects who wanted to work for someone who valued real creativity. And